either live by the gun or you die by the sword.
Welcome to the Good, the Bad, and the Weird Husband Watches. I'm Nico.
And I'm Chris.
And we originally had a spotlight episode planned for our in-between episode this month, but as life gets in the way,
it does.
I did not have time to do the deep research that I wanted, so that's going to come next week. Instead, your husband has been a powerhouse once again because it has been cold and he has been staying inside.
He is a successful indoor person. Yes.
Yeah.
And man can watch some TV, goddammit.
He has finished, or almost finished, 5 whole shows.
Yes.
Well...
Or at least as caught up as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is impressive because I am still on the 60-something episodes of One Piece, and I don't think I've watched any in a month.
Yeah, I think I have watched 2 episodes of Cardcaptor Sakura in a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not making it very fast.
Yeah, no, none of us are.
Except for Brian.
Oh man, he's insane. And this one's a weird one too because we actually have seen some of these shows. I've seen one of the shows and you've seen another one of them.
Yes.
/ you were watching it with him?
2 of these.
Okay.
So 2 of these we watched together, kind of. He watched several episodes without me and then just kind of continued to play it when I was off work. So by together, I mean he watched it while I worked, and then when I got done working, he continued to watch the show. But that's okay.
Good. So, the first show that Brian binged through...
He powerhoused through this one.
Cobra Kai.
Oh my gosh, man loves Cobra Kai.
Only other person I know who watches this show is Sugi Logic.
Fair.
And he likes the show.
I think Cobra Kai hits a nostalgia point for some people. I never was a huge Karate Kid fan. I saw all of the Karate Kid movies, but I didn't love any of them.
I recently found out that there were sequels.
Surprise!
I have only seen the first one because, I was scrolling through Amazon Prime the other day, and it popped up Karate Kid 2 and 3, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think if you're a Karate Kid fan from back in the day, even if you weren't a hardcore fan, but if Karate Kid is on that list of classic movies for you,
yeah,
which it definitely is for my husband, then Cobra Kai sounds like it hits a lot of those checkpoints as far as ringing the nostalgia bell while also being new and fresh and fun.
Okay.
I watched Karate Kid and the remake, and I think I watched all the sequels, but I never, if I was to make a list of classic films,
yeah,
Karate Kid wouldn't be on it, just because, I never connected with it.
Well,
my husband, however, has always been one of those kids that, was not allowed to do karate, didn't do karate of any form, but, the idea of doing karate in, a third grader sort of mindset is really cool.
Yeah. Well,
and that is Cobra Kai.
Well, you also like martial art films to begin with, so
yes.
Karate Kid's
a weak martial art film.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's not a weak martial art film as far as, it has martial arts in it.
Yeah.
But, it doesn't hit that sweet spot of defying gravity. There's no physics breaking in Cobra Kai, and, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's very much a drama show. From what I have been forced to listen to, it is very much a drama show with karate thrown in it.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. I really know absolutely nothing about this show.
Mm-hmm.
And I also I've only seen your husband, once this month, so,
yeah.
I haven't really had much to talk. I haven't had a chance to talk with him on some of this stuff.
Granted, I think Cobra Kai left off in a cliffhanger.
Okay.
So I think there is another one to come to wrap up everything, and it's if you're in the anime world, you'll know the tournament season. I think they're creeping up on a tournament style season. I hate tournament style seasons 90% of the time, but it sounds like he's real excited for this.
Some of them can be good, one of the other shows we're going to be talking about coming up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. Just some of them end up dragging on like way too long, like Yu Yu Hakusho or
Yu Yu Hakusho definitely comes to mind as far as like some of the old Dragon Ball Z ones.
yeah, like
which,
the Cell tournament where it's just like
some of them were definitely self-aware tournaments where you're like, we understand this is taking too long, so here's a short break.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think that's where the show is. I'm not 100% sure because again, I don't actually look at the show.
yeah.
But
as listening to only the audio of it, how entertaining is that?
there is a lot of yelling. There is a lot of bad parental advice that is like purposefully so bad that even children would be like, this is bad, this is a bad idea. There is a very clear-cut like good and bad versus evil / but that was like the original Karate Kid was like this whole like overcoming bullying and like you can stick up for yourself and you know all that sort of stuff. This show, from what I can hear, tries to blur that line a little bit, but like then they throw in all of the old masters and what they're got going on. There's a lot of questionable hair choices happening in this show. There's a lot of headbands from the few times I've turned around where there's no need for karate to happen in most of the scenes that are happening.
Yeah.
But like, alright, I mean, from what I can listen to, I will not watch it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, again, this is not my martial arts genre that I like. I like a lot less talking.
Oh yeah, more action than
more
anything.
Action, yeah.
Yeah, and the only thing I know is if I remember this right, because I might be butchering it. The whole premise behind the show is the kids from the first movie now have rival dojos.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they are now the adults, and then the bad guy from the first movies is now the quote-unquote main character.
Yeah.
And he's trying to, like, fulfill his life. And, you know, as a child, losing that tournament ruined his life forever. Oh, hi.
Charlie, it is 9:30 in the morning. You are fine.
Still hungry. Feed. But yeah, there's definitely some long liberties taken with story here, because, like, the rivalry is still going from back when they were, like, 12. It, like, full-on ruined the bad guy's life, like, fully, like, destroyed him and his life and his livelihood.
He didn't peak in high school, he peaked in middle school.
Did you ever watch the movie Meet the Robinsons, where the, like...
Yeah, you had me watch it.
Yeah, it reminds me of the bad guy from Meet the Robinsons, where it's, like, a kid who, like, did poorly at one baseball game and thus his life is destroyed. It feels a lot like that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, from what I've heard and what Sugi's told me, from what I've heard, this isn't up my alley either.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard it's hit and miss for a lot of people, so, like, I mean, it's not something I'm gonna actively try and find.
However, what really matters is the opinion of the person who watched it.
Yes,
who doesn't want to be recorded, so we have a quote.
Yes, we're changing up a little bit. We've asked Brian to provide his little opinion.
Yeah, his opinion on it, because sometimes he always surprises me. He will binge watch like a 12-season show to then go, that was terrible, I hated it. Why did you watch it then? Yeah,
or like we'll have him watch like a movie and he's like, oh, I loved it. I love the suspense. I love this. But he won't sit through like the first 5 minutes of the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Or he'll watch something and he will, while watching it, be doing other things. Not even like on his phone or like, you know, doing busy stuff with his hands. Because I totally get watching movies like that. But like full on like in another room doing shit. And then come back and be like, that movie was great. I loved it. It's one of my favorites. Like, what? So like, it is sometimes really hard to get a read on whether or not he truly liked a show.
Yeah.
He also is very much one of those people who likes to watch something and then a week later tell you if he liked it or not. He likes to let it marinate.
I mean, I do the same stuff too with movies. Like,
there's definitely, I think, like a change in opinion of a thing.
Yeah.
But like he doesn't have like a gut reaction. He wants like the marinated is the only reaction.
Okay.
Is his reviewing status, I suppose.
Okay.
He has also decided that he is going to rate all of these movies for us out of the one thing he truly loves more than anything, including me, in the world. Salsa.
These are hot salsa takes by Brian.
Yes. So, for Cobra Kai, he said, if I ever felt like I needed more karate... This is not what he sounds like. I don't know. I don't know what he sounds like. If I ever needed more karate in places that normally wouldn't have karate, this show delivers. Is it a must-watch? No. But it was fun and predictable, which makes for easy and relaxing show. 3 out of 5 salsas. Oh, sorry, 3.5 salsas.
Yeah, that seems to fit Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna add Cobra Kai, or if I do, I'm gonna have to watch with a future significant other, or Brian's gonna force us to watch it like he did that stupid ass Dracula show that he was super into.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
So he took a hard turn from Cobra Kai to One Punch Man.
Yeah, which...
Season 2 specifically, because we'd already seen Season 1
yes.
when it first came out.
And I've seen Season 1, but I have not seen Season 2. I have access to Hulu, technically, but...
You forget that it's there?
Well...
Because I did.
It's my brother's, and he set up an account for me specifically so I could watch Dave.
Yes.
And have I done that?
No.
No, because my history with TV shows is awful. I still think I'm like 2 episodes away from finishing the first season of Hannibal or something.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that one isn't even very long.
No, exactly. Like, I'll start it, and I'll get partway through, and I just won't finish it because life and movies get in the way.
Yes, same. This was one of the ones that we were supposed to watch together, and I think we watched like 90% quote-unquote together.
Yeah.
But there are definitely like with One Punch, it's not that big a deal. Season 2 has a little bit more of a fast-paced story arc than Season 1 did. Okay. But like, if he watched a half episode without me, it's not the end of the world for One Punch Man, which I like. I prefer shows like this where it's like, oh, I started in Season 2 and I'm gonna open it and like, oh, nothing has happened. Great. Like, my favorite TV shows are always that sort of style.
Yeah, and I mean, I've only seen, again, Season 1, and I loved it. I got a little bit pissed off at them because Hulu got exclusive rights.
It is a little awkward, especially if you really liked One Punch the first season, because I think part of the reason why it swept as hard as it did was because of how easy it was to get a hold of. Yeah. And while Hulu is not hard to find an account of, or like, at least one friend usually has a Hulu account. Yeah. It is awkward for TV shows if you don't have a Hulu account or you're not actively using your Hulu. Yeah. Because, like, I honestly don't go on our Hulu account hardly ever. And then on top of that, like, if I didn't have one, that means I'd have to go to someone's house to watch a TV show, which is a little... It's not really practical.
Yeah, and, I mean, I don't do a lot of streaming anymore just because my DVD backlog's built up.
Fair.
So much lately. But... Yeah, I mean, I am excited to watch the show.
Yes. I will say, if you liked One Punch Season 1, One Punch Season 2 is very similar. You'll get the same humor out of it. You'll get the same, like, characters, world development that you were used to in Season 1, just with slightly more direction than Season 1.
So, the real question for your evaluation of listening to it, did Brian watch it dubbed or subbed?
So, this has been a point that he has finally truly has opinions on. Okay. Because when we started off watching anime, we very much were in the world of, like, you get what you get. Okay. And... Yeah, and he never really cared much for the difference. Okay. Originally. And then I started watching Cardcaptor Sakura, which has notoriously got some of the worst dubbing of all time. Not because the voice acting's bad, but because, like, they full on mispronounce, like, key words to the show.
Kanade.
Yes, that bad. Okay. It's, like, that bad. To the point where, like, you can tell who watched which version of the show because the main object of the show is spoken differently. Yeah. Which, like, come on, guys. That one seems obvious. So, after watching that, he now sort of has an opinion. Okay. It is not a strong opinion.
But it's an opinion.
But he has one. He's slowly turning into a true weeb. And so we watched the English version of One Punch Man.
Okay, so you could actually hear it in the background.
I could actually hear it in the background.
Understand it in the background.
Yes. However, whenever unless he goes through the effort to turn them off every single time, we have subcaptions turned on everything.
Yeah.
Because it is much easier for me to watch shows or movies or anything with the subcaptions on.
Yeah.
However, no one bothers to re-subcaption anime. It is just the sub put over the dub.
Yeah, I forget about that because I haven't watched a dub show in a long time.
Well, and unless you're a subcaption reader all the time,
yeah.
I don't think anyone really notices that. And it's normally not too big a deal, but it does show off where the change in decisions was.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a big change in decision, and sometimes you hardly notice it. So now that he's started to see that, I think he started to develop a bit of an opinion.
Okay.
However, he still doesn't want to read all of the text if he doesn't have to.
Yeah, I mean, I get that too. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've had some influence on that with him too, because I force him to watch with the Japanese with the subtitles, or whatever foreign film we're watching, because let's be honest, I watch almost primarily foreign films right now.
And he'll watch like movies and stuff that are just the subbed version.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when he is in a full binge mode, the ability to just listen and like really potato out is important.
Okay.
So we did watch this one with the English on, which was nice because it meant I got to listen to a lot of yelling and crashing and understand a little bit what was happening.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I want to watch it. It's just finding time to do it right now.
Fair. But I think if you were one of those people who already missed season 2 and you're like, gosh dang it, season 3 is eventually going to come out. I recommend waiting because I did get to watch the last couple episodes of season 2, and it definitely has a little bit of a cliffhanger-esque style, which not uncommon for the show, not uncommon for anime. Nothing that would like crush your world, but it would be nice to just be able to continuously watch once season 3 comes out.
All right, interesting.
Assuming, of course, season 3 addresses anything in season 2. Because in anime world, that is always a possibility.
Yeah, and this is actually one of those ones where I have absolutely no clue what happens in the season, so...
Fair. I will say, I think season 2 did a good job of adding more background knowledge to both heroes, how the world works, how the tier system works, and then how monsters work.
Okay.
It is not a great deal of detail. I mean, this is One Punch Man we're talking about.
Yeah.
But it is enough to fill in some of your questions.
Okay, so they're moving a little bit away from, like, the gag.
Yes.
Or the...
I mean, it's still full gag mode.
Yeah,
but...
or, like, the gimmick that the first season really was.
Yes, and they do that kind of cleverly from what I have seen from season 2. They introduce a human who wants to be a monster because he feels that the underdog should win.
Ah, that's like another show.
Yes. And so, but by adding this character who is definitely able to be beaten, instead of just following our cyborg sidekick as like a plot device, we're now following this guy, which helps move the story around quite a bit and helps take all of the pressure off of our dear Saitama, who, while he is wonderful and a great character, kind of boring.
Well, okay.
Which is part of the point.
Yes, but also I think he's more interesting because I talked to Elliot back when he still worked with us about this, where One Punch Man, whatever his name is, I can't. Saitama. He is very much the definition of like the classic Greek tragedies and plays of the Deus Ex Machina.
Oh, for sure.
Where he just comes in and saves the day or fixes everyone's issues in that story arc.
If it even wants to solidify that concept even more, they introduce a character who is one of the highest ranking heroes in the world.
Okay.
He has no superpowers. He just looks tough, and the only reason he's on the ranking is because he is the background character every time Saitama saves everyone. So from season 1, a lot of people did question, like, surely the government and like the Hero Association has noticed that like a lot of really strong monsters just suddenly are not there anymore. Like someone's beaten them, people see it, this guy's gotten the credit, and they're friends and they play games together.
Interesting.
And this is the one thing Saitama is not good at, is he cannot beat this other character at video games. Not because he's bad, but because the other character is very good at them.
Interesting. Well,
so, like, they do continue the gag, but in a new way.
Okay.
Which I think did help keep season 2 fresh.
Good. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in this one. Like, again, it just comes down to when I have time to, so.
But now, a quote from the man who actually watched the whole thing himself. He says, easily one of my favorite shows of all time. This show continues to provide humor by making fun of classic anime stereotypes while creating a solid storyline that has you wanting another season, animated every time. 5 out of 5 salsas.
Interesting. I'm actually kind of curious with that statement, because Brian's not super versed in anime.
No, he is a new weeb.
Yes.
So a lot of the old shows he hasn't seen.
Okay.
So, like, he hasn't seen Inuyasha. He hasn't seen pretty much anything from the early 2000s. He's seen, like, 1 or 2 from the 80s. Nothing from the 90s. Yeah,
and I know, scratch it. He's seen movies from the 90s.
He has seen movies, but he has completely missed a lot of the shows.
Okay.
And some of the ones that he is familiar with, he hasn't finished. So, like, he has seen the first 3 or 4 episodes of Cowboy Bebop, loved it, and then didn't finish it for some reason.
You know what? I have that full season. I just might force it on them for lads' night.
He loves the show. I don't think he's gotten all the way to the end.
No.
Which is kind of, the best part of the show.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
so, like, there's a lot of background characters who are a play or a gag on fill-in character from classic here that he knows is a classic and that is a character somewhere, but, like, he doesn't get the direct joke.
Okay.
But he still found it hilarious, so, like, I guess you don't need that information to get the joke.
Interesting. So, question then.
Mm-hmm.
Because another series by the same creator, Mob Psycho 100.
Yes. He watched some of that.
Okay, I've only seen the first season of that still, so...
Let me rephrase. I think I watched the first couple episodes, and I liked it, and then had to put it down, and I haven't been back.
Okay.
It's the story of my life. And I think I had him listen to the intro theme song, because it's lit.
I see, I don't remember the theme song at all.
They count to 100.
Beautiful.
So he has listened to the theme song of that one, but I don't think he's watched it.
So you pulled a reverse Uno card on him for that one.
I did.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm going to get to it. It's just...
When is always the question.
Exactly.
Yep.
So now I move on to the third show, the one that I am actually rarely caught up on.
I would say this is the one that you have me beat on, because I have seen almost nothing of this show.
Yeah, and the only reason I'm caught up on it is to talk with one of my brothers, who is a closet nerd. And the only reason he's very open about it with me is because he knows that I'm a bigger nerd than him at times. Yes. But he, at this point, has watched way more anime than I have.
Good for him.
Because he prefers TV shows over movies.
Yep. It's easier to get through that way.
Yeah, and I mean, on his days off, he'll just binge stuff. So he does very much so the same stuff Brian does.
Yes.
Which the one he wants me to get caught up on now is Attack on Titan, so he has someone to talk to about it.
I'll get Brian restarted on that. He watched the first season. I think he's gotten to the newest one.
Another anime that I have watched one season of and have not returned to because there was like a 2 or 3 year gap.
Yeah, it was an awkward gap.
Yeah. So, what show are we talking about?
My Hero Academia.
Yes.
Sweeping the records, My Hero Academia.
I absolutely love this show. I like it. Like, it's in a weird spot for me because I generally don't like superhero shows or movies. Like, it's just not really my thing, even though another show my brother wants me to watch is The Boys.
Okay, yeah.
Which I haven't had a chance to get to yet, but I want to because I like what I've seen of The Boys.
Yes.
It's one of those few shows that I actually have seen little snippets of.
Yes.
But, so for those who aren't familiar with My Hero Academia, maybe we should go through this for some of the other shows too. My Hero Academia is set in a world where almost 80% of the world has quirks or superpowers.
Yes.
And a bunch of all the other people don't.
Yes.
And so this is a society where superheroes and villains are constantly fighting, and
they've managed to create the classic comic book superhero and villain world with rules and like understanding of how it all works.
Yeah, and put it into a high school drama showing setting.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot. There's like some Naruto elements to it.
Yeah.
There's some fairy tale elements to it.
It's one of those series where it has a lot of elements similar to other film or other series.
Yes.
But it takes it in a fresh new way, kind of like One Punch Man.
Yeah, definitely.
So, you have only really heard this one, right?
I've only heard this one, and to make it even more complicated, he is watching this one subbed. So, while my Japanese listening skills are not great, I do kind of have an idea of what's going on. There's a lot of nuanced details, and then there's a lot of it that he has to watch with headphones, because I am always in meetings.
Yeah.
And my headphones do not have a microphone on them. So I have to have the entire room audioed, so he has to be very quiet.
Yeah.
So I know a bit of what's going on. I do not know what a single character's name is other than All Might. And I only know who All Might is because I have seen so many figurines of All Might.
I love All Might just because he is the most stereotypical American hero we can think of.
This is Captain America meets the Tick.
What does Brian think of All Might?
Brian likes All Might. Brian, so far, has only really talked about one other character, and he just got to it. And is a kid who can phase through stuff.
Yeah, I don't remember his name.
I don't know his name either, but he looks vaguely like All Might in the whole, like, swept blonde hair, blue eyes, big grin, always strong jawline, wide shoulder stance.
Yeah, because you were telling me before we started recording that he had just found out what his quirk was.
Yes, so he's gotten through, I think, seasons 1 and 2 of this, and I think he did so in, 2 weeks. Or less. And so he is now, he is still binging this one. We're still going.
And the only reason he took a break between it was because of Cobra Kai.
Yes, so that he could finish Cobra Kai.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. Which, still impressive.
Yeah, no, he has made some great headway on this show, because this one, unlike One Punch Man, is all story pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
Backstory for everyone. Detail information on everybody. This is not a put down, pick up whenever sort of show.
Yeah, no, it's not episodic like Cowboy Bebop really is.
Yeah.
Has he... So, I'm trying to remember what he's actually seen. Have either of you seen Demon Slayer yet?
I don't know who anyone's name is.
Okay.
What does it look like?
It's the one that I think I brought it up to you a handful of times, where the animation style is beautiful, where it's it's a Shonen style, but it's mixed with the woodblock animation for their actual elemental powers and stuff.
Okay, yes. Okay, I started that one, and by started I mean I got 5 minutes in and then had to turn it off.
Okay.
So, no, he has not watched that one yet. I think after he gets done with My Hero Academia, gets as caught up as he can, he will suffer the void that he always feels when he is as far along in the show as possible, and will probably move on to something similar. Yeah,
okay, that'll be a good one. So, I just wanted to bring it up because those are actually, that's another one I'm actually caught up on for once. There's only 2 shows that I've caught up on. But I've noticed something with, especially shonen anime. Mm-hmm. I don't watch a lot of I read shoujo, but I don't really watch it.
Fair.
But with shonen, the most recent animes that are coming out, things that would normally, in the prime day of Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece.
Yes.
Things that normally would take an entire season of a show are now covered in 2 or 3 episodes at most.
Which is nice, because that was one of the biggest flaws of the originals.
Yeah.
There's whole websites dedicated to quote-unquote filler episodes, so you can just straight up skip them.
Yeah.
Which he did for Naruto.
Okay.
I think 3/4 of the way through, he was like, this is nonsense backstory, I am skipping to the good parts, and then got to the end.
Yeah. No, I'm curious how he is going to finish out the series, just because the most recent season is, like, it has 2 full arcs in it.
Yeah.
Like, one of them is, in my opinion, really good, and the other one is a little lackluster. Like, there's some cool concepts of it, but it felt like filler to me.
Fair. I will probably eventually watch My Hero Academia for the sole reason that one of my favorite things in this planet is dumb superhero powers.
Yeah.
And I specifically like either dumb superhero powers that don't do anything that no one can use, or they are so dumb that somehow someone turns that into a useful actual fighting technique.
Yeah.
Which this show seems to have, like, fully thought out and done. And I like that. I like a well thought through superpower.
Yeah, and to clarify a little bit on this show, like, when we say everyone has powers, a lot of them are, like, really minuscule. Like, the main character's mom can create a small gravity field, but it's only, like, small enough to, like, pull objects towards her. And
small objects, like pins.
Yeah, she uses it to, like, pull jars from shelves she can't reach. She's really short, too.
She's adorable.
The main character's dad can breathe fire, but it's really only enough to, like, warm your hands on a cold winter day. And those are the explanations they use for all the powers that people just have, like, very minuscule ones.
Yes, and those are my favorite sort of things. So while the character designs are really cool and everyone has raved about the story and the plot points for this one, I'm really just here for the cool superpowers, and so I will eventually watch it, but I think this will be one of the ones that I'm going to wait for as much of it to be out as physically possible, and then I'm going to cherry pick episodes, is probably what will happen. Just because I don't care about the story, like, at all. I am literally just here to find out how a guinea pig person can possibly be a superhero.
Well, I would say don't do that, just because a lot of the powers are revealed minusculely through episodes.
Fair.
Have you heard All Might's ultimate attack?
Yes. Yes, I have.
Oh man,
I was forced to fully listen to the battle between All Might and his, like, counterpoint villain.
Yeah.
The all for one and one for all battle thing.
Yeah.
So I am familiar with a lot of the basic powers of everyone. I just haven't gotten through. I don't know anyone's name. I don't know what anyone's backstory is. And the only character who I can recognize on sight is All Might and the main character's mom. United States of Smash! Yes. I also know that was all in English, thankfully.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious where the series is gonna go, just because I don't know. It's one of those ones where I feel like it could go on for a long time, but I also don't want it to. Just... I'm at a weird point in my anime watching where I am starting more to prefer one-shots.
Fair.
Over extended series.
I think I am glad to see a show like My Hero Academia take off as much as it has, because we lived through, like, the hot glory days of Naruto and One Piece.
Yeah, third wave anime in the US.
And while those shows were good, the idea of, like, continuing them, which some of them have, and a lot of people feel like they're done with. Yeah. Or trying to revive that dead horse is not necessarily the way to go. So I'm really happy to see something like My Hero Academia, which has the same energy and movement behind it, but it is completely its own show and thing and fandom. So I am excited for it. I look forward to seeing it. I just don't know when I'll get to it. But Brian watched it, and Brian says, having finished season 2 and planning to watch more, I found this show similar to One Punch Man, as in well-developed world with unique abilities, good backstories on many of the characters. But it has more of a Naruto-esque vibe, feel good, happy story, friendship. My only wish is that they wrote for a more slightly older audience and pushed their creativity a bit to avoid being too predictable. 4 out of 5 salsas. Okay.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good take on it. I mean, it is, a lot of it is pretty standard show and fare, which...
Yeah, which is, I mean, you need those.
Yeah, some predictability is not bad.
No.
But, yeah, I'm really curious to actually talk with him more about it today when we have our board game night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the fourth show.
The fourth show.
This is the one that you were watching together, right?
This is the one we are actually watching together, and I think the only reason that we are watching this one together is because I don't think he'd watch this one if it was just him.
Okay.
And part of the reason is because this is the definition of a perfect show for me.
Okay.
Saiki K.
And I have seen part of one episode because I was over at your guys' place, and I think you had it on in the background, and I was getting pissed off at it because
Yes.
I didn't understand what was going on.
Yes.
So
One Punch is very close to being the perfect show for me.
Okay.
But there is a tiny bit too much plot. Again, one of my favorite shows of all time is Murder, She Wrote, which has no plot whatsoever. The amount of murder that woman is near should be questioned by the authorities at some point, but it never is. Each episode's its own thing. Yeah, they kind of build on each other, but, like, not really. It doesn't matter. So I like Saiki K. I am watching this one in order just because it is short, and, like, it doesn't matter if I don't watch an episode every week.
Okay.
Like, I haven't watched an episode of this since, like, it's been over a week since I've had time to watch this. So we are watching this one together, so I do know this one very well. However, I think this is a good example, too, of, like, a bit of a polarizing one.
Okay.
He watches it, he likes it. I do not think he loves this one.
Because isn't this a Netflix original one, too?
They have a second season that's out that I think is fully Netflix original.
Okay.
I haven't gotten to that one yet. It's under a fully different name and everything.
Oh, alright.
This one, quick sum up for those who are not familiar with Saiki K. Saiki K is about a main character who has psychic powers. His name is Saiki. Haha. And the entire running joke is just like in One Punch Man, Saiki has seemingly unlimited powers.
Okay.
He has every psychic power possible on the grandest of scales. However, as he explains, I think the first episode, this means that his life is too easy for him, and he's bored, and he would just really like a normal life, please.
So it's like Death Note without, or it's the opposite of Death Note,
It
where
is
he's
the opposite
bored,
of Death Note.
doesn't want a normal life. Okay.
Yes. So the show follows Saiki and his weird collection of friends through normal life. It is a little slice of lifey, but not. It doesn't quite follow the same storytelling vibes as slice of life.
Is it? If I remember right, it's kind of gag-like that one you keep trying to get me to read.
It is very gag-esque.
Okay.
The whole show, like every episode, is a slightly new superpower or him explaining away very easily why something completely impossible is now possible for them. So, humans in this world now can heal much faster than normal because he made it so. So, like, snapped his fingers and was like, now it's a thing. Fixed everyone's genes.
Okay.
People now have weird color hair. He was born with pink hair because he is the main character of the show, and that is a gag in anime. But he doesn't want to be considered weird, so he changed it so that everyone in the world can have weird color hair and it's normal.
Oh, okay. See, I don't remember. I know you've explained the show to me like 3 or 4 times, and it just hasn't stuck.
It is very much one of those ones where, like, this is either going to hit your funny bone just right, or it's going to be interesting but not enough to hold you. Okay. That's kind of where Saiki K lands.
Is it episodic, or is there a bigger arc?
The overarching arc is so minor it might as well not be there. It is very episodic. You could kind of pick this up whenever. The only thing you'd be missing is a slight explanation of the friend dynamic, which changes ever so slightly every once in a while. And by ever so slightly, I mean someone will figure out that someone else has a crutch on this other character over there, and that slightly changes their behavior.
Well...
But not enough that you couldn't just pick up an episode.
Okay, that makes me think of, and maybe I might be
it reminds me a little bit of it reminds me a little bit of how Gintama.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Yes.
My current favorite gag manga is...
It very much is reminiscent of how that is storytelling, where if you watched the whole thing, you'd be privileged to do an extra little giggle here or there.
Yeah.
And you would know a tiny bit more about characters' love triangles, or friendships with their family, or parents, or that one episode their grandparents are in it. But do you need that to watch the show? Absolutely not. You can just pick it up whenever, at whatever point. The only thing you need to know is the premise of the show.
Okay. Which
is made very clear every single episode.
So, You obviously watched it with him.
I did. This is one of the few ones that I have seen.
Was he enjoying it, or was he not too into it?
I think this is one of the ones where this is not quite his humor.
Okay.
The reason One Punch Man, which is similar in its humor style, where it's focused on an OP character.
Okay.
I think the reason why One Punch Man works for him and this one doesn't is because One Punch Man does have more of a story arc. While it's faint, it's definitely there and it ties every episode together.
One Punch Man kind of makes me think of Tarantino, where it's a genre piece.
Yes, very much
so.
Saiki
K is not like that at all. And that, well, I think that kind of ends up a lot with like the gag series, is that they're their own standalone thing. And so like the humor is very hit and miss from all the ones I've tried to read.
Yes.
And I like, you know me in comedy, like,
yes,
my comedy doesn't match up a lot with.
Yes, and that's very true for a lot of comedy in general, and specifically anime comedy is really wide and varied across the board. It ranges from Gintama, which the entire world is overdone, and everyone is a comedian.
Even the name of the show is a play off
of the pun,
testicles.
Yeah. Or it can be much more subtle, and Saiki K lands, while it is visually brash, the humor part of it is almost too dry, I think, for him.
Okay.
This is as close to British humor as anime gets, I think.
Okay, so it is definitely more in line with my humor.
Yeah, I think you would appreciate this one. This one, I think, One Punch Man's humor is much more, Americanized, and he's much more familiar with it. It falls in line with comedy like Friends has, or normal sitcom TV.
Oh.
Whereas, while there's no laugh track, there is obvious, clear punches and jokes.
Yeah.
Where Saiki K, kind of the entire show is the joke. And it reminds me a little bit more of the British comedy style. While it's not quite there, I do think this is one that you and I like, and he found a little too dry.
Okay. Yeah, after talking about it, I might give it a go. I'm not super sold on it, honestly.
That's fair. This is definitely a hit or miss for a lot of people, I think.
But it is an accessible one. It's probably going to be on Netflix for a long time.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, so what is Brian's hot salsa take on this one? Because this is his longest write-up of the 5.
This is. He says, "Are you bored and just need a simple and funny show? Saiki K's got you. It isn't a binging type of show that you have to know what happens next. You watch 1 or 4 of them and then go to bed and save it for another relaxing evening. While it's a unique show with endless possibilities due to the main characters having infinite power, I found the show gets a bit stale at times due to the lack of creativity and lack of storyline. 3 out of 5 salsas."
All right, yeah, I mean, that is how a lot of those series go, because Gintama does get a little stale, and I can't I can't binge it. It's one of those ones where it's just like, oh, that was cute, and then move on to something else.
And Saiki K fits that void.
Okay. Yeah, maybe give it a go, but...
Yep.
But you highly recommend it.
I love the show, but again, I don't binge shows. I will watch one episode for a week, like one episode a week, and be like, wow, that was delightful, and like move on with my life. So I can totally understand if you are sitting on the couch for hours on end. I could see how Saiki K's not it.
Okay, cool. And so we move on to our 5th show, and probably the most anticipated show of last year.
Yep.
/ most anticipated next season.
Oh, for sure.
The Mandalorian.
Yes, which he purposefully waited until every episode was out, because Mandalorian did the thing where they dropped an episode every week or so. Yeah,
because it's Disney Plus.
Yeah, so he did wait to watch Mandalorian until every single episode was available, as far as they're going to release for whatever this season of it is.
Okay. Now, did you watch any of it?
I watched very minor parts of it, but I have a confession. I do not love Star Wars.
I, on the other hand, love Star Wars, but despise Disney.
Fair. Yeah, I do not love Star Wars. I have never loved Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
It is fine, but if I'm going to watch a star-based show, I prefer Stargate.
Okay.
I am that person. I'm not even a Star Trek fan.
I learned recently Stargate has heavy Mormon influences.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
It's also now on Netflix, thank the gods.
I've
That is one of the few shows I probably will re-binge because I've already seen all of it.
nice. I've barely seen like part of it
Yes.
back when it was like on Sci-Fi, but
It is very much a sci-fi TV show from like the 90s, 2000s range.
Okay.
It has that vibe.
yeah.
Mandalorian does not. Mandalorian, from what I saw, was very well polished, very well acted, very well produced. It was a full-on, they knew who they were making this for production.
Yeah.
Not a standard TV show.
Well, I refuse to get Disney Plus.
Fair.
So me watching this, as much as this is a show I really want to, because I was listening to, I can't remember the podcast, someone else talking about it, and they brought up that it's basically a Western in space.
Yes.
And they brought up, like, one of the episodes is like a Seven Samurai episode,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking of, like, the entire series to me kind of, like, people explaining it to me sounds very much like Lone Wolf and Cub.
Yes. Yes,
So, like, it definitely is something I'm really interested in, but I despise Disney. And I will refuse to get Disney Plus. And now that, what was it? We were watching the Super Bowl, and now there's some other streaming channel that's calling them Plus as well. And it's like,
Discovery.
Yeah,
Plus.
Discovery Plus. Piss
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, I totally get not wanting another streaming, and especially one as polarizing as Disney. I totally get that.
Yeah.
I think Mandalorian, because this is part of the Star Wars franchise, will eventually be a beautiful box set with extra shit that wasn't on the streaming originally, and I think that's probably how someone like you should watch it.
Okay.
Is in the kind of in the vibe of the originals, where you have the DVD box set. It's in a cute little box with the little floppy wings on the sides.
Okay.
Pretty art. I think that's the way for someone like you to watch Mandalorian, but I understand why most of America sat on the edge of their seat waiting for episodes to come out.
Okay. So listening to it,
Yes.
is it entertaining to listen to?
It was entertaining to listen to. While I do not love Star Wars, I do know who everyone is, and I have seen most of them. I think I might only be missing one Star Wars piece. I have not read the books, though. So it is entertaining to listen to. The costuming, when I turned around to, like, get a drink of water or to stand up, was really well done. The sets all felt really well put together. It didn't feel like a stale rehashing of anything.
Okay.
It felt like it belonged in the Star Wars world at every moment, but at no point did it feel like they were reusing a world that felt old or...
Okay.
Like, everything felt polished to the same level as the rest of the show. Most of the dialogue was, when I listened to it, entertaining. Everyone definitely had their own characters, voice-wise and dialogue-wise.
But not super deep and meaningful.
Not for me, no.
Okay.
I think a lot of that was done visually for this show. Especially since the one character that everyone in the world cares about, the child.
Everyone but me. I will say this first off. I was turned off from the show. Not completely turned off. I just don't like Baby Yoda. It's the same shit like why you haven't watched Despicable Me, because I despise the Minions. They became like an edgy soccer mom meme.
They were very much turned into edgy soccer mom meme. And
the only thing I can say about Baby Yoda, he's gotten rid of the Minions. He's just replaced them, and he pisses me off still. Like, I don't... I know it's different in the show, but I just hate what people have done with it and latched onto it. And my favorite video, or one of my favorite videos right now, is Stormtroopers punching Baby Yoda to the beat of Toto's Africa.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will say that I see why people latched onto him, because he is very cute, he is very small. He doesn't do much. He is very much a Muppet in a live-action world, and, I mean, that's fine. But that's partially why, much like the Minions, who honestly didn't do much in the show.
Yeah.
So the few things they did do was the only content available to then put text on top of and put everywhere on the internet. The same thing happened to Baby Yoda, very much so, and I get that. I think now that the light Star Wars audience has left the Mandalorian world, I think Baby Yoda's presence has died down quite a bit.
Yeah.
As far as him as a meme and less of, like, the actual character that he is. Because he does have a character from what I watched. He's not just a lifeless sack of potatoes that is whipped around the universe. He does somewhat do things. Not a lot, but a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's a child.
He is a child.
Yeah. So, what was Brian's hot take on this one?
So, the first thing you should know is that Brian's family is the opposite of me. They love Star Wars.
Yes.
They've seen all of them. They have multiple times. They have seen as many as they can on the first opening night as they can. Like, Star Wars is by far their favorite franchise of all time.
Okay.
And so there was a lot of pressure to, have you watched it yet? Have you watched it yet? Which he doesn't like. Oh. He's very much one of those people that, like, if you are like, have you seen this yet? He'll be like, I'm never watching it now.
Okay.
So I am impressed that he did eventually get around to watching all of it, despite being constantly told to watch it.
This sounds like another certain movie that we've been telling him to watch for longer than I've known you guys.
Yes, for as long as possible. But again, it's one of those things. If you tell him to watch it, it has to be his idea.
Okay.
So I'm impressed that he watched it at all to begin with. He likes Star Wars a lot more than I do. He's, but I wouldn't call him a super fan of Star Wars.
Okay.
Like, he's seen all of them, he likes all of them, he'll happily watch any of them whenever, but, like, it's not his favorite movie of all time.
Okay. So, what is his take on it?
He says, having seen the Star Wars beforehand, The Mandalorian is way too easy to like. It was emotional, intense, built strong relationships, and strengthened the Star Wars lore for me. No, I haven't read the books. I would strongly recommend this show to anyone who has watched the Star Wars movies before. 4 out of 5 salsas. This, and to add to this, something that I talked with him after he had written this review is, I asked him, like, do you think I need to watch it? And he goes, well, you don't really like Star Wars, so no.
Okay.
He said, if it interests you, then it will fulfill your dreams of what it is. It is super well produced. It is super well written. But if you are not already into Star Wars, this isn't going to, like,
change your mind.
No, this isn't the Star Wars thing to change all Star Wars things.
Okay.
It is a beautiful addition to the Star Wars.
Okay. It's a little side mission.
Yeah.
Okay.
It fills out questions that a lot of Star Wars fans, from what I understand, have always wondered. It's filled out characters that they've always wondered about. But again, I'm not a Star Wars fan. I don't really care about some of these characters. Like, I know who they are. I'm not emotionally attached. So to me, he's like, no, this one's maybe not the best for a non-hardcore Star Wars lover.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, I'll get to it at some point. I think I'll probably watch it alone just because I know I will be obnoxious to watch this with, because I'm more interested in seeing its connections to samurai and spaghetti western cinema, which
they did pretty blatantly from the few scenes I've seen. Like, I mean, that's a Star Wars thing. They've always pulled from old samurai. Oh yeah, and we'll definitely get into that a little bit in the somewhat near future / distant future, because the future. There's a lot to go over with that. So, but yeah, all right. I mean, there's quite a few shows that we went over today that's on my radar / Yeah, he made it through a lot of the big ones.
Yeah, so I'm curious what he's going to go on to next, because there's not really a whole lot from what I've seen coming out.
Yeah, I mean, he always manages to find things. What it will be, I never know.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, so this has been our second husband watch. Hope you all enjoyed it. Look forward to a Spotlight episode next month.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we actually have time to watch stuff ourselves and not piggyback off of Brian, the powerhouse that he is, though.
Yes.
So, anyway, this has been the Good, the Better, and the Weird Husband Watches.
Thanks for listening.
Peace.